have a long history with Paris. The first love of my adult life was with a French woman from Paris, from the Bastille area. Natalie. We lived together in San Francisco for 7 years, and we moved to San Francisco. Natalie was 5 years older than me. We moved there, I was 22 years old, and she was 27, and I was in love with Natalie, man. I wanted to marry her, but she was all French and progressive. She didn't want to get married. She'd say shit like, "Oh, baby, I do not need a ring on my finger to know that you are my man." She would say that. She would say, "Oh, baby, I do not care if you have sex with another woman. Just do not give your heart to anyone else but to me." I was young, I was stupid. I wish I'd have known what a good deal she was offering. The only thing Natalie and I ever argued about, she would say, "John Wayne is gay." Excuse me? "John Wayne is gay." "Shut your mouth, you blasphemous whore!" "Everyone in France knows that John Wayne is gay." "Everyone in France knows that John Wayne is gay." I would lose my fucking mind. And remember that, young people, when you're in love and you're young and you're in an argument, you hold on to something so small and you just won't let it go. Let it go. It's meaningless. Because now I'm older and I look back on my life. And every time I watch a John Wayne movie, he enters every room. He's the fucking gayest guy who ever lived. I want to suck your dick, Corbin. So, Natalie's mother is very old now, and I went to visit her yesterday, and I remember we lived in San Francisco, and I wanted to, it was the very first time her mother had ever come to the United States, and I wanted to impress her. So I took her to the Grand Canyon. Why fuck around? Take her the best thing that my country has to offer. So I don't know if you've ever been to the Grand Canyon, but it's 2 miles straight down. And it's easy, downhill. Coming back, it's 2 miles straight up. And Natalie's mother, like a lot of older French people, chain smoked, filterless gitans. And at the time, I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and 1 gitan, I would have to fucking lie down and take a nap. It's like the strongest cigarette ever. So we're at the Grand Canyon, and it's getting dark, and, coming down, everyone's happy and singing, and donkeys are happy, and everybody's happy. But coming back up, man, Natalie's mother starts complaining about chest pains. And, as the boyfriend, probably one of your most important responsibilities is to not kill your girlfriend's mother. I mean, for sure, that's going to come up in every argument you're ever going to have for the rest of your life. "Oh, yeah? Well, you killed my mother." "I said I was sorry." "How many times do I have to apologize for that?" So Natalie's mother did not speak 1 word of English. I thought she did not speak 1 word of English. It's a pretty tense situation, and she's complaining about her chest pains, and at one point she put 1 hand on her chest and pulled 1 hand to the sky, and she starts yelling, "Helicopter! Helicopter!" From watching American television, this woman thought anyone in trouble in the United States got a helicopter. Helicopter! Had to open up with my love of Paris. No, and I've been to Paris many times through the years. I've learned things. I'm smart now. I can handle Paris. I know on certain metro cars that there's a latch that you have to flip it to open. Paris, you do that so you can laugh at foreigners. First time I came to Paris and I was on the metro and I came to my stop and the door didn't open, I fucking flipped out. "The door's not open! This is my stop! This is my stop! This is my stop!" And this Parisian guy just walked over very casually and went, "Flip." Great, Parisians have the little flip knob. They can make other people from different countries feel like assholes when they visit here. First time I came to Paris, I stepped in dog shit. And the Parisian people I was with said that it's good luck to step in dog shit in Paris. It's good luck in Paris to step in dog shit. And I think Parisians just say that so they don't have to clean up the dog shit. But when I first came, some of you might be too young to remember this, which is a crime against humanity, but when I first came to Paris in the 1990s, there was so much dog shit here. The city of Paris had men on motorcycles whose job it was to clean up the dog shit. They were beautiful, man. They had these Kawasaki motorcycles, like dirt bikes, and they had like a tank on their back, and the dude had like a big suction thing, like a vacuum cleaner, and he'd just jump up on the sidewalk and go suck up the dog turds. He was the dog shit cleaner upper person. You guys gotta bring back the dog shit motorcycle man. It's a new era for France, and you gotta bring that back, man. I have written a letter to Marvel Comics hoping that they would consider bringing the Paris dog shit motorcycle man into the Justice League. Because that is the superpower. I should have opened with that. Travel all over the world. I just spent a month in Asia, and the knowledge nugget I have brought back for you from Asia is the most beautiful women in the world are Thai men. No? Ever been to Thailand? Okay. I should mention this. On Saturday when I got here, I took the metro to visit a friend of mine who lives right near Republique, and I came out of the station. And Saturday at Republique, they had a big pro-Kurd rally on one side, and then on the other side was a big women's march rally. And it was very interesting for me, as an older white man, to come out of the metro stop. Hi, I'm known the person everyone's angry at. I was just hoping to step on some dog shit. I see your blank faces, balcony. I was in Arizona. You know Arizona? Yes. It's a desert. It's hot. I've always heard that Arizona has weird laws. So I Googled weird Arizona laws. Do you know in Arizona it's illegal to refuse someone a glass of water? If they ask you for a glass of water, it's true. It's a desert, man. People die. You could be watering your grass. Some dude comes crawling out of the desert. I need a glass of water. I need a glass of water. And you go, fuck you, man, it's for my girl. You can go to jail for that in Arizona. It's illegal in Arizona to let your donkey sleep in a bathtub. Google it. It's a law in Arizona. And you know, before there's a law, there's got to be a problem, right? Some shit got out of control with the donkeys in the bathtub. Had to legislate that. It's illegal in Arizona for one house to possess more than 2 dildos. Again, before there's a law, there's got to be a problem, right? Some shit got out of control with the dildos. Had to limit 2 to her house. It's illegal in Arizona for more than 6 women to live in the same house. Which makes the 2 dildos per house law pretty cruel. I'm sensing a very active dishwasher. Some of my jokes are designed to make one person laugh. Do not be alarmed. Your joke will be coming around shortly. I have individually wrapped one for each of you. That joke was clearly for you, man. Nobody else, yeah. I want to be healthy. Move on to the next joke. No, if you need a minute, take a minute. I will step.
No, I'm fine.
I agree with you. That shit's funny. The rest of these people that have the problem, not you and me, baby. I want to be healthy, and I want to live a long time. Just to see what technology's coming next. It's so exciting being alive right now, don't you think? Technology's amazing now, man. My favorite thing about modern technology is Shazam on your phone. You know this app? You hear some song you haven't heard in 10 years, you hear some new song, you're like, what's that song? You hit the Shazam, it listens, tells you what the song is. It's got to be coming in the next 10 years, everybody. Shazam for smells. Who farted? I'll tell you exactly who farted. Says it's coming from you, Bob. Says you had Brussels sprouts and lentils an hour ago. You inconsiderate motherfucker. A modern phenomenon of being a comedian now is tweeting something and getting into trouble for it. And it finally happened to me a few months ago. I was in New York City, and I went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And I'm a big fan of the Italian painter Caravaggio. There's 5 Caravaggios at the Met. And there's a Caravaggio painting there of the Christ child and the Virgin Mary. And I'm looking at this painting, and I just felt that Jesus' dick was kind of small. So I took a photo of it, and I tweeted, me personally, I'd have given Jesus a bigger dick. And all these people got upset, man. Were tweeting that I was blasphemous and out of line. Fuck that. You can believe in a little bit of Jesus all you want. The Jesus I believe in has a donkey dick. They won't let him near a bathtub in Arizona. My Savior's got a big, hard, beautiful dick. My Prince of Peace is bringing a hammer. I love that joke so much I'm sad it's over. All my family are hardcore Christians, and they're all overweight. And they're all trying to lose weight on these low-carb diets. We don't eat bread. That's funny. Christians not eating bread. And Jesus said, take this bread and eat it. It is my body. And the disciples said, Jesus, we're all on low-carb diets. We appreciate you dying for our sins, but we're all trying to slim down a little bit. We want to look good in the painting. I love to travel. You ever go on this website, TripAdvisor.com? It's hilarious. Any great place in the world you can think of, type it in. It has been given a shitty review. On TripAdvisor.com, seriously. You type in Grand Canyon, somebody wrote, oh, it's hot, you had to walk a lot. The Taj Mahal. They make you take your shoes off before you went inside. There was a lot of poor people outside. I had really nice shoes on. Great Wall of China. Ah, it's great, it's too bad it's in China. So I'm married, and my wife is from Holland. My wife is a European woman. And there's some American things she just don't understand. 2 years ago, we went to Rome. And we stayed in a hotel 2 blocks past the Colosseum. And every day we'd go sightseeing. And at the end of the day, we'd have a big sumptuous meal. Then we'd drink a few bottles of wine. Then we'd be walking back to our hotel past the Colosseum every night, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And we're looking around. Streets of Rome are completely deserted. No one's in sight, right? So on the 3rd night, walking past the Colosseum, 1 o'clock in the morning, I look around, no one says, hi. So I walked over to the Colosseum, unzipped my pants, and I peed on it. And my wife flipped out, man. She's like, what are you doing? You're so American. Why would you pee on the Coliseum? I'm like, well, for the rest of my life, whenever I see a picture of it, I can think, I peed on it. And we ended up having this big argument, man. And we were on vacation, and I was agitated, and I couldn't sleep. So I got up in the middle of the night, and I'm on TripAdvisor.com, and I left Rome a bad review. I said the Coliseum smelled like piss. Y'all might want to clean that up. My wife is from Holland, but her ethnicity is Indian. My wife is a dark-skinned woman. Do you know, when we got married in the United States a few years ago, the little plastic people for the top of the wedding cake, we could not find a white man and a dark woman. Seriously. In the United States right now, the little plastic people for the top of the wedding cake, you can find 2 white men, 2 dark men, but you can't find a white man and a dark woman. So I went to a toy store and got Iron Man and Pocahontas. My wedding baby, I'm Iron Man. My wife is Indian, my wife is Hindu. She believes in hundreds of gods. Sex is very exciting. She could yell out anybody. Krishna, Ganesh, Ganesh. Steve! I gotta find out who Steve is. I need to read their scriptures. That better be a Steve in that book. My wife is Indian, but she's never been to India. And I've never been to India. And we're talking about having a baby right now. And we both feel the same way about having a child as we do taking a trip to India. We really want to do it, but it frightens the shit out of us. Just don't know if we're ready for all that vomiting and shitting yet. Some of my jokes are designed to make 4 people laugh. So our hobby now is throwing around baby name ideas. I want to have a baby, and I want to name him Slim. And from the moment he's born, I'm going to stuff him with candy and cake and potato chips, ice cream. He's 14 and he weighs like 400 pounds. Somebody's going to ask me, your kid's named Slim? I'm going to go, yeah, I'm fucking hilarious, right? I've always been attracted to dark-skinned women. So quiet. I've always been attracted to dark-skinned women. I dated a woman from Kenya for a little while. That was interesting. When we would go on a date, she would insist on running alongside the car. What joke would you have written had you been a comedian that dated a person from Kenya? I really did date a woman from Kenya. I don't know if you know this or not, a lot of African names have an N in front of it. This woman's name was Njeri. N-J-E-R-I. Njeri. Tom Njeri. Joke wasn't strong enough to keep that relationship alive. It might be that, well, I love my wife, I'm happy to be with her. I'm fucking happy for so many reasons. She's European, she's intelligent, I like that she's a dark-skinned woman. You gotta mix the races, ladies and gentlemen. You people doing the same race fucking is what's holding back our evolution. Anybody who studied biology knows the more you mix the genetic code, the stronger our immune systems will become to fight diseases. And we'll all actually live longer as a species if you mix the races. Keep mixing the races until we're all the same grayish color. Then there'll be no more racism once we're all the same shade, man. Hey, Gray. Who you calling Gray? And then we'll actually be able to hate someone for the person that they are. Envision the day when you can hate someone just because he's an asshole. I was in San Francisco a couple weeks ago, and I saw a poster of Trump's fat face screaming, and the poster said, "Stop hate." And I took a photo of it, and I put it on my Instagram, and I thought I was being clever. I put, hashtag, eat a dick, Trump. Do you know that 209 people had thought of that before me on Instagram? I thought I was being... Good ideas, man, they're in the air. You gotta grab them, you know what I'm saying? Every day I wake up hoping Donald Trump leaves the United States for a younger country. Canada better not wear any short skirts around him. That's all I'm saying. Donald Trump pissed off every human being on the planet. Donald Trump pissed off the Pope, the nicest man on the earth. The Pope got angry at Donald Trump. And Donald Trump wants to build a wall at the border with Mexico. And the Pope said a Christian wouldn't build a wall. I love the Pope. But I've been to the Vatican, and there's a big fucking wall. My family are all hardcore Christian Republicans, and I'm the left-wing communist of the family. It's really true. It's really true. They call me Tommy the Commie. My older brother is a total fucking dick. And he's beaten me up my whole life. And he was a football jock, dick, and then he fought in fucking Iraq and Afghanistan. We were the fucking exact opposites. And he told me years ago, you know, Tom, you just want to hang out in Paris, in cafes, and smoke cigarettes, and read books that no one else understands. That's like one of the most beautiful things anybody ever said. It's like, he meant that as an insult, but I was like, that really is what I wanted to do. It's like, that's the perfect life. Was there some cut-up baguettes on the table? So, my mother is a hardcore Christian Republican, and my mother absolutely hated Bill Clinton's guts because he got a blowjob in the Oval Office. My mom thinks that's the most disgusting thing anybody could have ever done, get a blowjob in the Oval Office. And she could not forgive him for that. And my mother's hatred for Bill Clinton carried over to Hillary Clinton. And a few months ago, or at Christmas, I was talking to my mother, and I said, Mom, what if it turns out, what if it's true that Donald Trump paid prostitutes in Moscow to urinate on that bed at the Ritz-Carlton because the Obamas had slept on it? What if that turns out to be true? And my mom goes, well, it didn't happen in the Oval Office, did it? A lot of hate-filled assholes feel emboldened now in the United States. Some guy I went to high school with, my wife is a dark-skinned foreign woman, as I mentioned previously. Some guy I went to high school with wrote my wife on Facebook and said, why don't you go back to your country? You're probably here sucking off our system. How's it possible for you to even vote here? And then he blocked her so she couldn't reply. Fucking, I wrote this guy, did you really write my wife and tell her to go back to her country? And then you blocked her so she couldn't reply? Pretty cowardly of you, don't you think, David? And then he writes me back and he says, I'm just tired of liberals not giving Trump a chance. Tell your wife I'm sorry. I guess I just got carried away with all the political bickering everyone does on Facebook. And I lost my fucking mind. I wrote this guy in such a fury. I was like, it's not everyone on Facebook. It's you evil white piece of shit. And how dare you take issue with my wife? And you don't have a problem with Russian collusion, leaving the Paris Accord, no health care for poor people, blah, 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 blah. This message was this long, man. My wife made me delete that. She made me write one sentence back. My wife accepts your apology. So I blocked my wife. We've never gotten along better. A lot of people comparing Donald Trump to Hitler. That's a little over the top. Did you know Adolf Hitler originally wanted to be an artist? But he wasn't that good at it. His paintings sucked. That's why, whenever I see an artist selling his paintings on the sidewalk or at a festival, and they're not very good, I always buy a couple. You never know what Holocaust you might be preventing. People come to my apartment and go, man, your taste in art sucks. And I go, yeah, but think of the lives I'm saving. Yeah, I thought about fucking. Those escaped baboons from the Paris Zoo reminded me that when the Allies were bombing Berlin at the end of World War II, they bombed the Berlin Zoo and all these elephants and giraffes were running around. Did you know that? Yeah, you know. Had the Germans spent a little more time at the zoo instead of trying to take over humanity, probably would have had it on. Alright, well, it seemed funnier when I fucking looked at it. I like this audience. I do, man. An audience that doesn't let you know that they're really enjoying the show. So you gotta really just try and win them over every joke. I don't like to coast, you know what I'm saying? I like to feel like every joke is make or break on this show. I'm glad that, usually you play in a city and you make observations and make jokes about things that are happening in that place at that time. People in every country I've ever played at really, really appreciate that. I really respect that you guys did not give one fuck whatsoever over the fact that I took the time to write some jokes in the last couple of days. He popped out with his So I did not live anywhere for 10 years, everybody. I put everything into storage, and I traveled the world as a comedian. And my wife traveled with me for 8 of those years. And 2 years ago, we got an apartment in Los Angeles. And it was very interesting to get everything out of storage and see what I've been holding on to for all these years. It was like a time capsule of outdated electronics. Remember the Sony Walkman with the cassette? I got 2 of them fucking things. So my father died in 2009. And I threw a bunch of his shit into my storage unit. My father collected bobblehead dolls. You know what a bobblehead doll is? These little dolls, they're like that big, and they got big heads on it. There's like a spring on the neck, so like if you touch the head, and they're always smiling. It's always like sports teams will sell them. It's like really goofy. Right? Okay, you know what a bobblehead is, right? My father collected bobblehead dolls. My father died in 2009, and I threw a bunch of his shit into my storage unit. And I did not get to look at it until now. And I got like 30 bobbleheads. And because I live in Los Angeles, they are now my earthquake detection system. I work out. I only work out because my wife works out. I don't have a joke for that. Just telling you what I know as an older man and what I've observed in my lifetime. Anytime I knew a couple, one of them worked out and one of them didn't. The one that got fit eventually fucked someone else. So if you're in a relationship and your partner's working out, you better get off the couch. Because there is some extracurricular activity on the plate. Everybody in Los Angeles works out. There's a Whole Foods supermarket by my apartment. You guys know Whole Foods supermarket? It's really expensive, like health food supermarket. And they sell shit like purple cauliflower. It's really true. There's a Whole Foods supermarket by my apartment in Los Angeles, and all the women who shop there wear these yoga pants. And you can see their yoga lips. Don't moan like I fucking orchestrated it. I'm telling you what happens in Los Angeles. I can't believe you pointed out a reality about where I live. Can't believe it. But I'm going to the store about 4 or 5 times a day. I got my wife convinced that I love purple cauliflower. And that the price fluctuates by the hour. I think we should build a Whole Foods supermarket all over the Middle East. Hey, you want to kill some infidels today? No, man, Whole Foods is having a sale on camel toe. Told my wife the price fluctuates by the hour. See how I put myself in the place of the Middle Eastern person? It's called empathy. This is the most un-French audience I have ever performed with. So, fuck it. I'm going to do it. Because, you had, it's funny, like, when the Charlie Hebdo thing happened, I was like, man, free speech. And I'm from Florida in the United States, and then after the hurricanes killed a bunch of people, they did some really fucked up jokes about people in Florida. I was like, man, fuck Charlie. It's really funny. It was funny, you're like for free speech until they fuck with your group, and you're like, oh man, fuck those people. Yeah, Orlando. I'm from Orlando, Florida, everybody. And we had the terrorist attack at the Pulse nightclub. And it's funny, in the United States, people refuse to do anything about the gun laws. It's just fucking mind-blowing to me, And I'm all for, assault rifles are legal in the United States. And I'm all for that, If it was your family tradition to take an assault rifle into the wilderness and decimate another living creature with thousands of bullets, you should have that right. But I think we should limit the number of bullets that go on to the clip that you put on to the assault rifle. All I ask from my government is the chance to tackle my executioner should he happen to reload. That's the only right I want, just that one little chance. I think only women should own guns. Woman is the life giver, so only she should decide when it should be taken away. Imagine a world if only women owned guns. Rape would vanish overnight. All wars would end because women have the power of reasoning and compromise. Bullets would come in bright colors to match their outfit. Bachelorette parties would be so much more interesting. Shelley, I hope you have a happy marriage, but in case you don't, I'm going to give you the silent effect. Pistol whip that fool if you have to. Alright, we're going to do that. So, when I got everything out of storage, it was really interesting to open up all these boxes that have been in storage for 10 years and find artifacts from my life, I found some naked photos of ex-girlfriends. And you young people don't realize what we used to have to go through to have naked photos. Had to take a roll of film to the drugstore and hope they didn't call the police. Pick it up in a floppy hat and sunglasses and a long coat. Guys that worked at my drugstore were perverts. They would give me free double prints with every bush shot. Okay, older people explain to the millennials what a bush shot is. And what double prints used to mean this. All right. I I don't want to be some old man standing on stage talking about the good old days, but millennials have everything presented to you easily. When I was a young man, women had bushes and you had to find it. You had to be like Indiana Jones or the machete cutting. Here comes a big ball rolling out of the cave. I got one for my life. Wasn't all shaved up and easy to find. It took skill. Had to hold the bush back to work the hood. I mean, it took talent. You're older than me, buddy. I can only imagine the bushes you saw. Vietnam era protest bushes. All right, great. Yeah, you know you're doing great when you can hear someone in the balcony blowing their nose. That's a sign of a powerful performance. Such a beautiful theater, and I truly do love Paris, and it's really interesting that you got Italian sparkling water. I just think that's fucking whatever. We already learned about a half hour ago the things that I think are funny you don't agree with, but I stopped drinking alcohol 4 years ago, and since I stopped drinking alcohol, my drink now is sparkling water. And there's a very popular brand of sparkling water in France called Badois. And I keep forgetting the name of that, and I keep ordering bidet. They keep bringing me toilet water. The groaners. That is not the worst France joke I've ever written. I've been playing in France for like 20 years, Paris, and when I was younger, now I'm older, more mature, and I'm sober. But when I was a younger man, you know, my show was a little dirtier. And this is a joke. I wrote, the first time I ever played in Paris. I played in Paris. I got invited to perform in Paris because they heard that my specialty was talking about the philosopher Balzac. But when I got here, they found out my specialty was talking about my ball sack. It's funny that actually works. I'm a Francophile. I love France and everything French. I hate when Americans say they hate French people. I think it's like the stupidest comment in the world. France gave the world the bikini and lingerie. What's not to like? And if it was not for the French naval blockade at the Battle of Yorktown, the United States never would have gained our independence from England. When the American soldiers, and the Marquis who arranged that naval blockade of the Battle of Yorktown was named Lafayette. So that's why when the American soldiers landed on the beaches of Normandy in World War II, the American government sent a message to the French government that simply said, Lafayette, we are here. The last time I was in Paris, I stayed in the Saint-Germain neighborhood. And near where I was staying was a statue of Diderot. Diderot said that the world will not be free until the last king is strangled to death with the entrails of the last priest. And if that isn't worth a statue, I don't know what is. I was in Bangkok a few months ago, and I did that with some French people in the audience, and I told that story, and as the words came out of my mouth, I realized that they have a monarchy and a sitting king. And it's illegal to talk against the royalty of the king. I wasn't talking about your king, I was talking about, like, old European kings. Huh? Had nothing to do with your king. Okay. Can we talk about French writers? Why not? Voltaire said that God is a comedian performing in front of an audience too afraid to laugh. Obviously, God had also performed at Theatre La Haute. The life of Voltaire is very fascinating because when Voltaire was writing, if they didn't like the writer's works, they would burn his books. And if they really didn't like what he had written, they would burn the author. So Voltaire had been exiled to Switzerland, in Geneva, and he was without a country. And his love of his life, Madame du Châtelet, died in childbirth. She had gotten pregnant by another man. And he lost the love of his life, lost his country, and his arch rival was Rousseau. And they used to write nasty shit about each other in the newspaper, back and forth. That was the 17th century equivalent of a Twitter bitch fight. And the Lisbon earthquake had killed so many people, Voltaire wrote a poem about it saying, how can there be a God that would allow such destruction to such innocent people? And Rousseau wrote a criticism of him and said, who is Voltaire to take away our notion of God? And what do we have if we have no God or hope? And then Voltaire was crushed. He was at the lowest point of his life. And that's when he wrote his greatest work, Candide, one of my favorite books of all time. And then they were persecuting Rousseau in Switzerland several years later. And Voltaire said, although I disagree with what you say, I will defend with my life your right to say it. Does it always have to be funny with you people? Can't we just learn some shit? You're not sleeping, are you? I like your scarf's all wrapped up. Where are you from?
I'm from Dominica.
Dominica? Dominican Republic?
No.
That's the only Dominican I've ever fucking heard of.
You were doing well and then you just lost me.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
It's like a little island between Guadeloupe and Martinique.
Saint Lucia.
Saint Lucia, Antigua.
Oh, nice. Okay. Sincerely apologize.
Yeah, you learned some shit, I learned some shit.
See, we're here to learn shit. It's always a great day when you get to learn some shit. Now the people in the balcony can see my bald spot. I've been to Paris so many times, I'm happy I do not have to go to Père Lachaise Cemetery anymore. It was so important to me when I first started coming to Paris. And another thing that Paris needs to correct, you need to take off the protective glass from the Oscar Wilde tombstone, man. That was the coolest thing in the world. People would put lipstick on and they would kiss the Oscar Wilde statue. And now there's like a protective glass thing and people scratch it with their keys. And it's just not as pretty, Karen. The love of Oscar Wilde's life was a man named Bosie. And Bosie's father was the Marquis of Queensberry, the same Marquis of Queensberry who invented the rules for boxing. And the Marquis of Queensberry persecuted Oscar Wilde and sent him to prison, and he had to do hard labor, and that crushed him, and he got out of prison, he came to Paris, and he died like a year later. Because I love Oscar Wilde so much, on the rare occasion that I do fight, I always fight dirty. Joe fucking kills in Ireland. Don't do your Irish material in France. I do like the idea of people taking pilgrimages to graves of people they admire. You know, now there's a garden for Jim Morrison thing. I want to be famous enough and rich enough where I can have a jacuzzi on my grave. And I leave enough money in a trust where like people could, where it could be cleaned regularly, and like people would come visit my grave, and then they'd get to like sit. Yeah, that Tom Rhodes really was a nice guy. I really loved the guy. left us a jacuzzi. You know, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, they have Jim Morrison's Boy Scout uniform. What a cute Boy Scout he must have been. Do you want to see my bird feeder, Mama? You look real good. Okay, have I convinced you that I love France? Yes. If you think nothing else tonight, are you not convinced that I am sincere in my love for Paris and France? Okay? That is why it is so unfortunate what happens to me in the story I'm about to tell you. I lived in Amsterdam for 5 years, and I had my own television show on Dutch television for 3 years. And I had a break from the television show. So I had a late night talk show on Dutch television, and then the same network let me be a presenter on a travel program. And I got to do a highlight on St. Petersburg, Russia, Peru, that was my favorite, the Dutch Caribbean. Maybe I should have looked at the fucking map a little closer. Studied some of those French islands. But my Dutch travel show boss told me, because I did a comedy tour in Asia. I did Hong Kong, Bangkok, and then I had 2 weeks off before I had to go to Tokyo. And my boss on this travel show told me if I got certified diving while I was in Thailand, on my next trip, he would send me to the Dutch Caribbean. So I flew from Bangkok to Phuket, and I took a boat 3 hours to the Phi Phi Islands. And I stayed on Koh Phi Phi, on a French resort. And my diving instructor was this tattooed criminal scumbag from Montpellier named Philippe. And you could smell the cocaine criminal past on this fucking guy. There was a reason why this guy was hiding out in the islands in Thailand, right? So he had all these homemade jailhouse tattoos on his arms, and he had a little rat ponytail, and the side of his hair was shaved for his mask, and he had a mustard yellow Speedo that matched his mustard yellow teeth. Now, anybody who's ever gone diving, there's a book that you have to study for a week before you're allowed to get into the water. I did not have to look at this book once. I sat with a very hungover Philippe on the morning of my first dive, and he went through the hand signals with me. This means I cannot breathe. This means I have a love of air. A love of air, okay? I'm underwater, oxygen is precious. Okay, I love air. Took me 3 days to figure out this means you are low of air. So I was single at the time. My diving class was very small. And there was a British couple named Mark and Mara, who I'm still very good friends with because of what happens in this story. And they had both lived in Paris for 5 years and spoke fluent French. And I was single at the time, and my diving buddy, when you go diving, it's all about your buddy. For safety, you're matched with another person, your diving buddy. And you have to constantly be checking on your diving buddy. Are you okay, buddy? Yeah, I'm okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. Right? So my diving buddy was this beautiful French woman named Helene from Bordeaux. And Helene worked at the ticket counter at Air France at Bordeaux International Airport. And I thought, oh my God, this is like the perfect love story. We met while diving in Thailand. How romantic. And like my brain, I just got so carried away with myself. I'm imagining this future life I'm gonna have, living in Bordeaux. I'd get a job smashing grapes with my feet. And then I'd go pick her up at the end of the day at Bordeaux International Airport. And we take our shaggy dogs out to the coast, and we throw tennis balls for the dogs to chase. And then we kiss in the big sand dunes at the sunset. So Helene spoke minimal English, and I still speak minimal French. And Philippe also had a crush on this woman. And his underwater flirting was outrageous. Every day he'd like push me aside and take her and show her like pretty plankton or whatever. And I'm by myself. So, a lot of men do this. When there's a rival for their affection, he becomes the silverback gorilla. And he feels the need to insult me loudly every chance he gets. So we all said what we did on our jobs, and I said I work for this television show. So he keeps calling me, Mr. Television! Is this good enough for you, Mr. Television? You must learn the buoyancy! Mr. Television, you will not get your diving certificate if you do not learn the buoyancy. Buoyancy is the perfect balance of perfect measures. Divers, professional divers, never use their hands. They don't have their hands behind their back. They have an air vest, and it has 2 buttons on it. And one increases the air, the other one decreases the air. So professional divers are always perfectly horizontal, and they just very coolly just go, psh, psh. It's like flipping the metro door. Very smooth. While amateur divers flail their arms, and that's what I was doing. So he keeps yelling at me, buoyancy, you must learn the buoyancy. So we would have lunch on these beautiful islands with these little alcove beaches. And one day I saw Helene pulling her bikini bottom out of the crack of her ass. And I asked Mark to ask Helene if she was going to the movies. She says, why? I say, because I saw you picking your seat. It's a joke that children tell each other in the United States. Helene had never heard the joke before. She thinks it's the funniest joke ever. She's laughing so hard, and I look at Philippe, and he just fucking, I can't. He's so pissed off that I scored a point with this woman. So in the morning that I almost died, he was being a real dick to me. And we're on the boat, we're going out to our diving spot, and I told him, I said, hey, Philippe, I don't know what I did to make you dislike me, but I gotta tell you, man, you know, you're making me feel uncomfortable now. And I have to trust you down there. And he goes, oh, Mr. American, have I hurt your feelings? Maybe the Al-Qaeda has asked me to leave your body in the ocean today. And that's when Mark stood up in the boat and goes, you are out of order, sir! And then they got into each other's faces, and then they almost fought, and it was like an hour before this explosive situation finally fucking cooled down. And then we get out to our diving spot, and we all got to go diving, and then in retrospect, it was Russian roulette with the bad tanks, and I got the bad one. Did he give it to me on purpose? We will never know. Just like every other day, we get down there, and he pushes me aside, and he takes Helene, and he's showing her a pretty thing, and I'm by myself. And all of a sudden, I start breathing in water, and your lungs don't want water. It's day 3. I know how to work the equipment. If you got water in your mouth, there's a button in front of your mouth. You just, and it shoots it out the side. It's not working. So I get my spare respirator, the octopus, as it's called, and it's the same thing. It's water. Your lungs don't want water. And I looked up to the top. It was about, from me to where the roof is, it wasn't that deep, but it was deep enough to be dangerous. And I know you can never shoot straight to the top, because that's how people really get hurt. So I looked at Philippe, and he was about from me to where that exit door was. And I swam to this dude as quick as I could, and I actually came in a little above him, and I actually had to whip him around by his ponytail to get his attention. And who would have thought I ever would have gotten to use the I cannot breathe signal? And he really seemed to take his slow, sweet time getting me that spare respirator, man. And by the time it got to my mouth, I had held my breath for so long. I can't even recreate the sound that came out of me. It was the sound of someone dying, and it came out of me. And I thought this was the last moment of my life, watching bubbles go in front of this French fuck's face. But I survived. And I had to sit on the boat while they finished their dive. And I was on the boat by myself, and the Thai boat captain was fishing. And he pulled in a fish onto the boat. And the fish was flopping around on the boat. And I felt so bad for that fish, because that was me just a minute ago. And then we got back to the resort. And I sat on the beach and I watched the sunset. And to be honest with you, it was a very mediocre sunset. It was a gray and hazy, overcast day, but it was the greatest sunset of my life. There's nothing like dying to make you really appreciate living. And then Philippe invited me into the little village to have a beer. I mean, he was trying to cover his ass. You know, but he was trying, man. He really was. He showed me a picture of the wife and child he'd abandoned in France. And I told Philippe, I said, hey, Philippe, I want you to know, today I learned the true meaning of buoyancy. The perfect balance of perfect measures, because this morning you said that shit about Al-Qaeda, and I hated your guts, and I wanted you to die. And then you saved my life, and then all's forgiven. Perfect balance of perfect measure. And then I go back to the resort, and Helene was sitting by herself at the tiki bar. So I went over to talk to Helene, and I'm trying to make small talk with her. And I go, so what's the first thing you're going to do when you get back to Bordeaux? And she goes, make love to my boyfriend. What's the second thing? There is no second thing. So be careful who you almost die for, because he might not give a fuck. And now you know I almost drowned in peeping. Yes. Is there anyone here from another country? Where are you from, friend?
Florida.
Get the fuck out! Are you from Florida?
Yeah.
I'm from Florida. Where are you from in Florida?
Orlando.
I'm from Orlando area. Really? Do you know that?
Yeah.
Did you know that I was from there?
I did.
You did? Okay, cool. Wow, that's so cool. You're in France. Yeah, and if you knew, well, I'm from Oviedo. Do you know that?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I grew up because Orlando is really a tourist place. So when I grew up we're in this little town outside of Orlando, and there was orange groves everywhere. And I had two older brothers, and my dad, we had one garbage can in our garage that was always clean, and we would always wash it out. And it was like a mission. My dad would drive us to the orange groves, and me and my brothers would jump out with this clean garbage can, and we'd fill it full of oranges. And then we would have fresh squeezed orange juice all year. And all those orange groves are gone now, and they cut them down and they put housing developments. And I guess I should apologize to you, because it's my fault that they're gone and that they built their houses. Had the farmer turned a better profit, Here's another joke you're not gonna like. Orlando's a weird place to grow up. They have all these amusement parks. There's an amusement park in Orlando called the Holy Land Experience. It's a religious theme park. And what they've done is they've recreated ancient Jerusalem. At a highway exit. And I have to say, the place is very authentic because the parking lot is full of Palestinians and they can't get in. Is there anyone from a funnier place than Orlando? Anyone else from another country? All right, this is an
India.
What's the fucking right up? Are you from India? Are you Hindu?
No.
Well, who's Steve? Where are you from?
Peru.
Are you from Peru? Where are you from in Peru?
Lima.
My mother lived in Miraflores as a little girl.
Really?
Yeah, and I filmed this highlight for this travel show in Peru. Peru is my favorite trip I've ever taken in my life.
Really?
I didn't go to the Amazon, but I went everywhere else. I went to Arequipa, I went to Puno, I went to Colca Canyon. Oh my God, the train between Cusco and Puno was probably the greatest thing I've ever done in my life.
When did you go?
It's 10 years ago. Yeah. We stayed on Amintani Island. We went to Lake Titicaca. We stayed on this island, Lake Amintani Island. It's a direct descendant of. Are you upset? I'm boring the shit out of everybody. Okay. In Peru, they eat guinea pigs. Only rich people. It's a rich people delicacy. And I had to try it. We were filming it, and I didn't like it. Thank God. Wouldn't that suck if you found out you love guinea pig? You have to hang out at pet stores all the time. They keep dying? Maybe the wheel is too tight. I love Peru. Everyone in Peru is this tall. I wish I could see all my rock concerts in Peru. I mean, it's a joke, of course. I'm setting up the humor right now. I got my favorite souvenir in my entire life of traveling in Peru. I got a handcrafted Peruvian chess set. And that's the Incas versus the Spanish conquistadors. And I suck at chess. So whenever I play, I'm always the Incas. When I get slaughtered, it's historically accurate. I'm really excited about Peru in the World Cup. I love the World Cup, and I'm going to be rooting for Peru. My mother is from Buenos Aires, Argentina. That's where I get my tango sexy cool. My mother came to the United States when she was like 14 years old, did not speak a word of English. And before they came to the United States, she lived in Miraflores. My grandfather worked for the airlines as a plane mechanic. And in the 1950s, the airline industry was the way that the internet tech jobs are now. If you were could fix airplane fucking engines, you could live anywhere. So they lived in Miraflores and Lima, and then they came to the United States. And I've got all these cousins in Argentina. I've been to Buenos Aires 4 times. I have a cousin in Argentina named Fernando. And he's the sexiest Argentinian guy you ever want to see. Hey, Fernando, do you have any matches? No, it isn't my body. And I really learned a lot about myself in Argentina, because I've always been moody, arrogant, and a little bitchy. Turns out I'm Argentinian. Nothing wrong with me. It's the way of my people. Yes, you have
Argentine people is Italian who speak Spanish
Yeah.
and want to become English.
Yeah. Yeah. My mother is of Italian descent. Yes, true. And my father is of French and English. Rose is an English name, but my grandma's name was Vermilion. Anyway, you guys proved an hour ago that you didn't give a fuck about personal information. Are there any Argentinian people here?
Yes.
Yay, where are you from, Fred?
Córdoba.
Wow, cool. That's so great. Who's your favorite soccer team?
Newell.
Okay.
That's it's my last name.
Oh, is that the team of Córdoba?
No, Rosario.
Oh, Rosario. Okay, yeah, that's where they have the Diego Maradona church is in Rosario. Yeah, and Lionel Messi is originally from Rosario, yeah?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, see, I know my shit, people. I haven't just read about French writers. My family in Buenos Aires, their favorite soccer team is called River Plate. And my cousin Fernando took me to see River Plate play Quilmes, which is a factory town 20 miles outside of Buenos Aires. And the home fans sit separate from the visiting fans. And there's a wall that separates them. And there was a wall of razor wire around the field. Not barbed wire, razor wire. You touch your hands and it's shredded. Quilmes was losing 4-0. And the home fans were so angry at their own team's poor performance, they set fire to their own stadium. All of a sudden, the other side of the stadium is engulfed in flames. And then these lunatics, like 40 or 50 people, are trying to get onto the field. And they're climbing the razor wire. And like 100 riot police come streaming across the field in helmets and batons, and they're just fucking beating people off the fence. And then they shot tear gas into the stands. It was the greatest night of my life. Been to 1,000 baseball games. Nobody ever set the stadium off. Anybody else from another country? No. All right. Well, I guess.
Morocco.
Where are you from?
Morocco.
You're from Morocco? I would love to go to Morocco. I do not have any Morocco jokes. That's why I need to travel there. In case I'm in a show and this situation presents itself. I could have said. I do not have any Moroccan material, but if you don't mind, I'd like to do my Japan material. And instead of Japan, I'll just say Morocco. I was in Morocco. Morocco is famous for the samurai warriors. And I've been obsessed with samurai warriors my whole life. All right, that's not going to work. Okay. Can you guys last another minute? Or? Wrap this up. Why are you smoking? I'm the friendly comedian.
Colombia.
From Colombia? Yeah. Colombians speak perfectly grammatically correct Spanish. That's why most of the call centers of Latin America are based in Colombia. Aren't you glad I didn't mention cocaine? I got some Colombian friends and they don't like that. And unfortunately, I already burned my South American material with Peru and Argentina. So when we came to Colombia, I was fresh out of shit on South America. Okay. Any English people here? Well, all right, fuck it. Must sound enthusiastic.
Yes.
Where are you from?
London.
London. Straight accent. I like the London Cockney accent. They don't pronounce T sounds like wah. Would you like some water? Officer of my life was 1999. I spilled water on my computer in 1999. Do you guys know who Steve Jones is? Steve Jones was the guitar player in the Sex Pistols. And he's on the radio in Los Angeles every day on his punk rock radio station. And he has one of those London Cockney accents. And it's poetically beautiful that the show is sponsored by Toyota of Huntington Beach. To hear this guy say that every day without a T sound, man. So if you need a car, go to Toyota of Huntington Beach. What's the fucking T sounds, man? Do you know, help me out here, English lady. It's always a good day when you learn something. I'm going to give you a knowledge nugget you're never going to forget. I've performed all over England, and you would only learn this traveling within England. But within England, the stereotype of people from Liverpool is that they're all thieves. Say it out loud. Yes! You're not going to confirm this?
Yes.
First English person that didn't fucking back me up on that. What did you guys do? Get together out on the street before the show? Hey, are you going to the comedy show? Come here, huddle up! Whatever he asks you, you don't know nothing. You haven't seen anything he's seen, you haven't done anything he's done. If he asks you a question, you just fucking stare at him. I hate that. Anyway, the stereotype within England, no? Yes? Yes, you know you fucking left me in. They say people from Liverpool will steal your eyes out of their sockets. Okay, anyway. So, do you know who John Cooper Clarke is? John Cooper Clarke is an English punk rock poet. He's in his 70s. He started out opening for The Clash and the Sex Pistols, doing poetry, getting spit on. Anyway, he had a heroin problem for years. Anyway, he's an old friend of mine. I met him 20 years ago at the Edinburgh Festival. And last year, he did his very first tour of North America, and he asked me to open up for him. And we played at the El Rey Theater in Los Angeles, and fucking Ringo Starr was there. And Ringo Starr came backstage, man, I got to meet one of the Beatles. But the whole time I was talking to him, I was holding on to my wallet. You guys got your coats? You gotta go to work? Okay, fuck it, I'll end it. That's great. Thank you so much for coming. No. Je suis désolé. I went a little long. No.
Come back. Wait, I'll see you in the
Yeah, I really can't thank you.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. I will. Google.
I'll know next time I see you, I'm gonna fucking know everything about it. You're out of this. Alright, well, if that isn't the time. And I realized, alright, here we go, big finale. Okay, not the country game anymore. I realized I forgot a very important story earlier. The very first time I came to Paris, I was maced with pepper spray. It's true. So I took French in high school and I got a failing grade. And that always pissed me off. I really worked my ass off in that class. So my first love of my life was with this Parisian woman, Natalie. First time I come to Paris, Natalie gets sick one night, and I get to go out by myself. And I'm walking around the Bastille, and I come across this street called the Rue de Lappe. There's all these bars on it. I walk down the Rue de Lappe, there's a bar called Some Girls. It's the name of a Rolling Stones album. I love the Rolling Stones. I go in, they only play the Rolling Stones. I'm in heaven. I'm drinking beer brewed by monks. Every time I wanted to leave, they'd play another great Stone song, like Can You Hear Me Knocking, Give Me Shelter. Finally, I leave this bar. It's late, it's a thin Parisian street, and there's two guys walking towards me in the distance. And one guy had a metal pole, and he was walking like it was a walking brace. But it wasn't a walking brace, it was a metal pole. Because when we got close to each other, I moved over to make room for them. They moved over a little bit more. Before I knew it, they were right up on top of me. And dude with the pole cheers me in the stomach with it. And it's go time, baby! It's 2 against 1, and I'm not proud of it. I don't know where it came from. I barked at them. Ruff! And that made the dude with the pole start wailing on me. But it was winter, and I had a big coat on. It didn't hurt so bad. Then I looked to see what dude number 2's done. I looked at dude number 2, and he maced me right in the eyeballs. I've never felt such excruciating pain in my life. You have no idea how many nerve endings are in your eyes, and I freaked out. And I wailed my arms, and I broke free, and I'm just running, and I'm blinded in all this pain. It's amazing the shit that's stuck in the cracks of your brain. I don't know where it came from. I just looked back and I went, Enchanté! Which means nice to meet you. I can't believe I failed my high school French class. I got to use my high school French on the streets of town. Okay, so, you guys have been wonderful. I'm so glad you came. I had a major transformation in my life 4 years ago, rather. I don't know if you can see the scar I have on my forehead. The lines go like that, and wrinkles. But this one is a scar. I've been a heavy drinker, heavy partier my whole life. And 4 years ago, I was so drunk in Philadelphia, I blacked out and fell off of a bar stool like a tree and busted my head open on the tile floor. Once my head hit the ground, I was wide awake. There was blood everywhere. Some guy grabs my arm and he lifts me up and he yells up to the bar, "We gotta call an ambulance!" I went, "Fuck that, I don't have health insurance. Don't you dare call an ambulance." He goes, "You gotta get to a hospital." I'm like, "How far is the nearest hospital?" He goes, 2 blocks. 2 blocks and you were gonna call an ambulance? It's like $15,000, man. So I got a wad of napkins off the bar and I walked in the hospital. And after I walked in the first block, I said to myself, 7,500. But I have not drank or done drugs in 4 years, everybody. And I want you to know, the way I used to feel about cocaine is how I now feel about donuts. I mean, I won't go out chasing after it, but if a friend's got a bag, I'll have a taste. So I was thinking about times in my life I was really fucked up. 5 years ago, I was in Galway, Ireland. And I was so drunk, I woke up in the middle of the night in my hotel room to go to the bathroom. And I went into the bathroom, and the door closed behind me. But what had actually happened was, I was now in the hallway, and I was locked out of my room. And I don't know if any of you have ever been naked and drunk and had to approach the front desk for another key. But I thought you should show some humility, you know? So I cupped my balls, and I walked to my knees together and showed that I was from a good family. Got to the front desk, and the guy goes, "Hey man, this is Ireland. That happens all the time. Shake it off, kid. Walk with your dick out." Be proud. I think the biggest blunder that ever happened to me from drinking was 15 years ago. I was performing in Hong Kong, and I stayed at the Shangri-La Hotel, the nicest hotel I have ever stayed at in my life. Beyond 5-star, opulent luxury. And I'd never been to Hong Kong before. So the first day I was there, I just walked and soaked the city in with my eyeballs. And when I went back to my hotel room, at the end of the day, they had put a goldfish in a little goldfish bowl in my room. And there was a note next to it, and it said, "Traveling is sacred, but no one deserves to be alone." That's why we provided this friend, the goldfish. Let's keep you company during your stay here. 2 nights later, Fatboy Slim is doing a concert on the Kowloon side of the harbor. I love Fatboy Slim. I got tickets. The audience was the most beautiful, fashionable Chinese people that looked like they had fallen out of fashion magazines. And Fatboy Slim was electrifying that night. And I was just dancing with all these beautiful people, and I got really drunk that night. And somehow, in the middle of the night, back in my hotel room, I shit the bed. You thought the goldfish was gonna die. The goldfish lives in the story, ladies and gentlemen. I was drunk, I was half asleep, I thought it was a fart. And I was ashamed, man. I had never shit a bed before in my life. Really, I felt terrible about this. So the next day I left the hotel early without making eye contact with the housekeeping staff. And I walked around all afternoon and went back to my hotel room at the end of the day. They had taken my goldfish away. No one deserves to be alone except for you, you creepy bed shitting weird. You know what's funny is that story happened to me 15 years ago, and I did not even tell my closest friends. And I damn sure wouldn't have told that story on stage, because I was single before. Maybe I wanted to meet a nice girl after the show and do a little... Now I'm married, I don't give a fuck. I shit a bed, y'all. Shit all over that motherfucker. Well, you guys have been so much fun, and please go downstairs to the bar. I've got a digital download of my album for sale in case you'd like to not laugh at these jokes at home. Put my heart into it. Took me a long time to write all these jokes. So if you don't want one, when you walk by me tonight, Keep your eyes on the fucking floor. It's so funny what you've laughed at and clapped at and what you haven't. You made some great statements about humanity and you stared at me. Keep your eyes on the floor. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Okay. I'm coming back here in October. And I'm gonna try and film the next time I come here as my next hour special for Netflix. So I think it's important for the rest of the world to know how I feel about France and certain things I've said tonight. And if you could do me a huge favor and make sure that like half of you don't come. You guys are amazing. Please come downstairs, talk to me. I want to tell you one last story, one last heartwarming. I want to tell you one last heartwarming story before I go. Do I have your permission? Yes. Okay, so do you guys know who Louis Anderson is? He's a very fat, older American comedian, and that's his thing. He has a very nasally voice. He talks like this. He's like a real superstar, famous guy for his clean family humor. The guy actually won an Emmy last year. Anyway, so I started, yeah, he's very famous, very rich. I started being a stand-up comedian in Orlando, Florida when I was 17 years old. When I was 19 years old, I won the funniest person in Central Florida contest. Not the funniest person in Florida, Central Florida. So the grand prize was I got a plane ticket to fly to Los Angeles, and I got to perform at the world-famous Comedy Store. And I'd never been to Los Angeles before. I thought this was going to be my big break. I'm going to be a star once they see me, man. In retrospect, it was an open mic night, and I only got to do 5 minutes. But Louis Anderson was there, and Louis Anderson acted like I was the funniest comedian he'd ever seen in his life. You're a very funny man, Tom. You're a very funny man. And he invites me to hang out with him. And at the time, he's one of the most famous comedians in the United States for his clean family humor. And he's introducing me to people all night. Have you seen Tom? He's a very funny man. Have you seen Tom? He's a very funny man. Then at one point in the night, he says he needs to take a drive. Do I want to take a drive with him? Hell, what, I want to take a drive with Louis Anderson. We drive down to Santa Monica Boulevard, and we parked in front of this nightclub for like 20 minutes. We were there forever. Keeps looking over his steering wheel, but I'm just looking for a friend, Tom. Just looking for a friend. Years later, when I lived in Los Angeles, I find out that The Rage on Santa Monica Boulevard is the biggest gay bar in Los Angeles. He was showing off his young meat. I was pretty cute when I was 19. Then he says he needs to go by his apartment to pick something up. Do I want to go with him to his apartment? Hell! Would I want to go to Louis Anderson's apartment? At no point in the story do I realize what's about to happen. I am small town hayseed, just fell off the turnip truck. It's my first time in California. I think famous guy wants to be my friend. We walk into his apartment, and he had this wall with all these photos of him and famous people on it. And he goes, let me show you my wall of fame. And we start at this end. And we work our way down the wall. It's like, this is me with Nipsey Russell. This is me with Sippy Sales. This is me with Big Bird. This is me with Kermit the Frog. Then we get down to the end of the wall, and I'm in the corner, baby! I'm trapped! This is his move! Then he turns to me and he goes, you're a very sexy man, Tom. You're a very sexy man. And he's a big dude, and he stepped in on me, and I'm like this! And he cupped my ass cheeks. Both of my ass cheeks have been in Louis Anderson's hand. Then he goes to kiss me, and I'm like this. And as he's squeezing my ass cheeks, he kissed me on the cheek. And I went, can we go back to the Comedy Store now, please? And I can't help but think about that moment all these years later and think, How much further my career would have gone if I'd have just fucked that guy? You guys are amazing.